Sebastian, man. Hey, hi, hello, my name's Danielle, and today we're going to be talking about Season 2 of the Shadowhunters TV show. Yeah. So many things have changed, I just don't even know where to start. So if you don't know, Shadowhunters is a TV show on Freeform based on these lovely books behind me. And I actually did a review on Season 1 of Shadowhunters, so if you haven't already seen it, go watch it, come back, let's discuss Season 2. So if you haven't seen Season 2 yet, I'll start with the non-spoiler section. I'll let you know when I'm getting into the spoilers. Just, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Don't spoil yourself. Just go watch it, okay? Okay. First of all, this season, crazy. So many changes, and they're all pretty good. I mean, let's be real. I went straight into Season 2 right after I finished Season 1, and I was just shocked by the amount of changes that were made, and it was so much better. The seraph blades, the special effects, everything's taken a step up. The writers, the dialogue, they did change the writers. Episode 4. Even the acting seemed better. I know that a lot of that had to do with the writing beforehand, but there's some things in there that's just, it's improving so much, and I'm so excited to see where this show goes. However, because it is based on these books, I do have some disagreements, and I will get into those, and no, it won't be the most positive thing in the world. I'm sorry. As long as they're connected to these books, I'm gonna be criticizing them, and it's not in a bad way. So if you don't want to hear negative things, you should probably go to. So this season, new opening credits, they're kind of kicking ass with it. There were like slow-mo shots of Izzy, and I don't know. We got some establishing shots of New York. We got those locations, so like if you're at Magnus's place, we know where that is now. They'll show a little shot before. I couldn't really tell you if it was filmed in New York or not. Doesn't look like it, some of them. Actually, one thing I did notice, if you've ever seen The Bold Type, I'm pretty sure that show is not filmed in New York, along with this show, but they used the same background and you could totally tell. But at least they're trying, right? They're trying. The cinematography was definitely cooler. I thought that was awesome. There were sometimes when the cinematography felt off, and it felt like they were just doing it just to have something different, but it didn't work with the scenes. They're kind of playing with things, I feel like. See how different things work. And I'm all for that. It's going well. They had some crazy shots in there. Everything, it's all taking a step up. Overall, I feel like the show has a darker tone, and I'm kind of digging it. That's how the books always felt. They felt dark, but like sarcastic and funny and witty. Feels good. It feels right. Definitely fits how I see the show. I can't really say much without spoiling you, so if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it, come back, we'll discuss it. Don't stay here and spoil yourself because I'm not worth it. Anyway, that's all I have for the non-spoilery section. So if you haven't seen Season 2, 2A and 2B, leave now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Leave. Okay. Season 2 viewers. Okay, let's go back to these changes that they've been making. So the seraph blades. The first episode, I think Jace and Valentine are fighting and they're like holding up the seraph blades. We get a close-up as they light up. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I think they're cool. I approve of this message. The runes all of a sudden look different. They don't look like burn marks. They look like tattoos. Digging it. This is how I always pictured it. I can understand the burn marks because you kind of burn them on. The demons, I know we don't see a lot of them in Season 2B because they weren't the main focus. At parts they were, obviously. But the antagonist tends to be Valentine, Sebastian type things. So demons aren't the main focus, but they do come up. It was a smart choice anyway, because every time we showed a demon in Season 1, I was like, stop, no, please, cringe, I can't. That demon that they used in the first part of the Season 2, where it like possessed people, that was smart, because then it's just the person playing the demon. And then it comes out and it's like a giant thing of smoke, and Clary stabs it. And it dies immediately. They were the old writers. We all know how they are by now. Let's go back to the first 3 episodes. So we're introduced to this new character, Victor Aldertree. I don't know what to think of him. Everyone was saying, well, maybe this is Jonathan with the shape-shifting rune, and I was really hoping that wasn't the case, but the more the show went on in the first half of the season, that's what I kept thinking was gonna happen. Like, he was always alive, he was always around. He knew about Jace and Valentine and how Valentine raised Jace. How? Why? We never come back to that. And then we come back to Season 2B, and we just have someone randomly saying, oh, you know, don't want to be sent back to Idris like Aldertree was. There was no point to him. He was just insane. Why? I don't get it. He was overly evil. He tortured Raphael. He gave Izzy Yin Fen. Okay, let's talk about this. When Aldertree pulls out this little thing of like cream gel and he calls it Yin Fen, I literally screamed, what the f? I couldn't. I was like, no, we can't do this to Izzy. Like, there's no way to get off of this drug. We know from other series that we do not mess with Yin Fen. But we did in this show, and we messed with it big. They changed it to where it's not a demon drug. It's made from vampire venom, and you can wean off of it. They're throwing away a whole nother storyline that they could have kept, and now it's this totally lowered thing. It's not a big deal anymore. Like, you can get off of it. It's fine. They could have called it, just call it something else. It's not that hard. Let's pretend it was called something else. Anyway, this kind of sparks this whole thing between Izzy and Raphael. I was kind of digging it. And I feel like we're probably seeing that Raphael might be an asexual character. And I think that introducing that is great. I wonder if they're going to play with that more though. It seemed like there might be something more to this story. Right now, Simon and Maya are a thing. We introduced her in this season as someone who seemed like a crazy bad villain, and she still had moments like that in the rest of the season. Like, she attacked Clary. She just does a lot of crazy things, and they just completely oppose with her other character. I know that we know she's messed up, but that doesn't mean that she just acts like a villain sometimes. Can we stop? Can we stop that? Because I like her storyline with Simon. Her and Simon are really cute right now. I want that to continue. I think it will. I keep going off topic. So these first 3 episodes with the old writers, there's actually one part in the second episode of the season where Magnus and Simon go off to find Camille. I was expecting so much out of that because Simon and Magnus are probably the 2 funniest characters that we have on the show and in the books. They're great in the show. Magnus is killing it. Simon is still hilarious. He still gets great lines no matter who the writers are. I feel like he's just a really easy character to play out because funny lines are kind of easy to do. What's not easy, apparently, seems to be Jace's character. It's like they're not trying to make him anything like Jace in the books, which is just sad because that's probably the smartest thing they could do because Jace is sassy and snarky and absolutely hilariously sarcastic. Why can't we have that Jace? I just want that Jace. There were some opportunities, like in that episode. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. This is episode 7, and they're at the Hunter's Moon. Jace is there and Simon's there, and then they end up talking together. I love this. We finally got some snarky Jace lines, and we got Jace-Simon banter. And they're like going back and forth, and Jace is trying to teach him how to be smooth and stuff. He's like, just show me how you would approach a girl. And then Simon's like, wait, me? And Jace's like, dazzle me. Great stuff! But it's not that Jace that I know he can be, and I really want him to get there, because Jace is my favorite character. I've said it before, I'll say it again. In this show, he is so open about his emotions, and you're just like, why? Literally laughed out loud at the screen. Probably the most I have laughed at this show. It was so ridiculous when Jace is on that rooftop and Alec comes out, and Jace turns around, and he is just sobbing. He has tears running down his face. I'm like, who is this person? You're sappy and I don't like it. Stop. And even in this show, it felt right when Jace and Clary thought they were related. I didn't feel like, oh, I wish they were not related because you can totally tell they love each other. No, it felt weird when they were going out before. I was spoiled when I read the books, and I knew a while before that they weren't actually related. When it's revealed, it is shocking, even if you already saw it coming. But no. In the TV show is the most anticlimactic reveal I have ever seen. It's like they suck at revealing things. Valentine's just like holding the seraph blade up to Jace's throat, and he's like, nope, you're not my kid. And that's it. It's at the worst possible time too because Claire doesn't know. Then later on we get this scene, which I thought was cool. They should have done it like that, where Valentine's strapped to the chair and he turns to Jace and he's like, oh, you haven't told her yet. And then she finds out. So now we have Clary and Jace openly knowing that they're not related and they could be together. But Clary's still with Simon. We still have the fairy court thing in the show. Not the same at all, because in the show, we go to the fairy court knowing that they're not related. And we have this whole scene, but it's not as creepy because in the books they thought they were related, and it was like they're not supposed to like this, but they totally like it, and they're kissing, and it's like, I can't deal with this. But in the show, it's not as dramatic because they know they're not related. So like, oh, big whoop, they kiss, and Simon's hurt. I just wish Simon would realize maybe I don't like Clary that way either, or something like that, to where it seemed okay that they broke up. And it didn't seem like they broke up specifically because of Jace. And that's why I didn't really like the episode. Sure, they included stuff from the book in the show, but it just wasn't. They changed it just the slightest bit, and it wasn't as good. And why? Also, in this season, we learned that Dot is still a thing. I don't really know how I feel about that, other than the fact that I was right, I'd like to point out. It was very random in the first season how they stopped looking for Dot, and I literally said in my last video, why did they stop looking for Dot? They just all of a sudden were like, oh, well, she's dead. Anyway, and then she pops back up in this season, and she's like, why'd you stop looking for me, Clary? We see like a little exchange with her and Magnus, and that was really cute, even though it seemed like something had happened romantically between them in the past. And I was like, why? No? Actually, speaking of Magnus and Alec, they're really cute in this season. They seem normal, like we see them going on dates and hanging out and talking and not randomly breaking up a marriage proposal. Where did Lydia go? We see her in the first half of the season. We come back for 2B. She's just gone. No mention of her or Raj. Raj was popping up too, that random Shadowhunter that was kind of funny. What happened to them? But Lydia, like I really liked Lydia, and she's just gone. Are we gonna get her back? Back to... we're not even in order anymore, okay? So we get these new writers in episode 4. They're kind of killing it. They're definitely better than the old ones. I appreciated that. But their first move was to kill Jocelyn off the show. I was like, okay. I mean, I'm fine with her gone, but maybe that could have come in a later time. So basically, I guess now I would describe this show as good on its own, but it's just going in crazy directions. So in the beginning of this season, at one point we see Jace jump off of a rooftop, and Jocelyn is there, and she seems really shocked that he can do this. And I'm thinking, okay, they're still gonna do the Jace storyline where that's his angelic ability. Later, we see Alec do the same exact thing. He jumps off the roof of the Institute, I think? We don't really know what it is. I'm guessing it's just a Shadowhunter thing. But that led me to wonder, what the heck is Jace's angelic ability? It's activating runes without your stele. And that is less cool than Clary's ability, and it demotes Jace and his abilities, and it makes me sad. And then we get all this weird things. Apparently he can activate runes on other people by touching them and activating his own. Okay, kind of cool, but why? Really weird. And then that whole scene where Jace and Clary are like together and all of his runes activate. It was cool though. That was the first time I was like, Clace, it's a thing. I saw in their eyes. I saw it. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, I get more excited for the show. A lot of the times in this show, especially that last episode, they always made it seem like they were the only people at the Institute, which they could have been. They could have made it that way, but they didn't. There's other people there too. But it's always like this thing where like 2 of us have to stay at the Institute because otherwise it's unguarded. No, there's people there. And even when they introduce the fact that Jace Herondale and the Herondales are royalty, what is this? And then Jace runs the Institute at one point. Speaking of my least favorite episode, it was episode 13. It was my least favorite episode because there was nothing in that episode that I liked. You have Jace running around trying to please Grandma and implanting tracking devices in Downworlders. I'm gonna throw up. You also have the introduction of Raziel creating a sword that could destroy Downworlders. And that, in this episode, just the worst storyline ever. Someone's going around killing Shadowhunters. It turns out to be Kaylee, a Sealy, who we've been introduced to one other time when she was sleeping with Jace. How am I supposed to feel about that? That was the worst episode ever. And I feel like the only reason it was there was so that they could have a reason to go to the fairy court, do that whole scene with Simon, Jace, Clary, and we have the Sealy Queen. And then we change her later on to Sarah Hyland, which is good only if we're like going back and forth between the 2 appearances, because we need to instill this idea that she can change appearances, because otherwise it seems weird that we just decided to cast another Sealy Queen. But I did like Sarah Hyland. Doing good. I'm getting ahead of myself though. First we need to talk about Sebastian. When they introduced Will Tudor, he's my new favorite character on the show. Creepy in the best way. He has to do crazy stuff, but he is amazing. I like how they introduced him to with Sebastian helping Izzy get over this Yin Fen thing, even though it happened with one drop of whatever he gave her, and then she's good to go. It was weird, but I like that we had that establishing connection between the two of them. And then this whole Azazel storyline, Valentine and Magnus were switched at the end of it. It was funny though, because Valentine acting as Magnus, perfect, absolutely perfect. And there were a lot of funny scenes in that episode. But when Azazel goes to Izzy, her necklace breaks. Does it break in the book? Am I just forgetting? I was just shocked because it just broke. Like, they've seen a greater demon before. Were they just done with the necklace where they were like, it looks so stupid when it pulses, so we're just gonna get rid of it? I'm upset that it broke. Yeah. Anyway, we get an episode where at the beginning, Jace is playing the piano, and I'm like, finally, at least we get a little snippet of that. I actually liked that part. Then at the end of the episode, we get another scene of someone playing the piano. I swear to God, I had probably one of the stupidest moments I've ever had, where I thought it was Jace, and I was like, well, where is he? Is he playing in Magnus's apartment? No, he hasn't stayed there in a while. I was so confused. And I was like, oh, it's Sebastian. Got it. It was a great cliffhanger. We get this shot of someone being held captive. It was the actual Sebastian Burlack. He looks like what Jonathan looks like, which means Jonathan's using the shape-shifting rune. No big surprise. And then we also get this scene where Valentine and Sebastian see each other, and Valentine looks at Sebastian and goes, do I know you? Even if it was Jonathan underneath that shape-shifting rune, how could you tell? It was just stupid foreshadowing. I don't know what I was expecting. We have this shape-shifting rune. Obviously, they're gonna use it, but that led to the question, what does Jonathan look like? Will Tudor is such a good actor that they can't just switch him into another human being that is actually Jonathan. No! What do they do instead? They make Jonathan a creepy swamp monster. Every time they show him on screen, I don't think it could get worse, but it does. He's just burnt to a crisp. That's his backstory. His dad sent him to eat him. That's cool. That could very well be the backstory, but why couldn't we just have it be he shapeshifted into Sebastian. He likes Sebastian better. He doesn't like the way he looks. We don't ever have to see the way he actually looks. Why do we keep showing this creepy swamp monster? Please stop. And it's like every time Jonathan gets out of control, he just automatically changes to this. It doesn't look like he uses a shape-shifting rune or anything like that, so that doesn't make sense. It's like his anger just pulls out the real Jonathan in him. It hurts. It hurts a lot. As the episodes go on, there's a lot of things that Jonathan screws up and Valentine screws up. Like at one point they're stuck in the city and they don't seem like these major villains. It seems like they're playing them down and making them seem unprepared. And what you really want from a villain is a crazy, creepy one, which they have, but one that's always 2 steps ahead of the protagonist. Even when the protagonist thinks that they finally have the advantage, the villain comes out of nowhere and they're like, ha, you thought. But no, there's always something that Jonathan or Valentine doesn't expect, and then they barely get out of it alive. What else do I have to say? At one point, we get this really nice view of Idris, and it's better than I could have pictured in my mind. I thought it was great. It was awesome, and we actually end up going. Clary sees this rune to make a portal, and I'm like, yes, Clary, you see that rune, you draw that rune, you be that rune. So thinking back on that episode, I definitely did like it. I don't know. That whole episode was kind of weird, but I think it definitely did help them get back on to where they were going. It just kind of felt like a filler episode, but we do get a lot of Jonathan's background in this one. We see that he was from Eden, and then at one point, he's trying to kill, no, he's not trying to kill Valentine, he's trying to send him to eat him, but Daddy Valentine was holding on to the sword, and he made Jonathan believe that he loves him. We're brought back to this spaghetti thing, which is just a fun thing for me to laugh at in the show. Valentine made Jonathan spaghetti later on, and that second to last episode when Jonathan and Jace are fighting on the bridge, and Jace is like, your dad doesn't love you. I had to pause the episode because I was laughing so hard when Jace said to Jonathan, did he make you spaghetti too? It's just something to laugh at now, I guess. Like, I don't even care that they tried and it just did not work. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah. So, now that this whole sword thing happened, Clary deactivated it with some rune. Now we're finally going back to the plot line that the 3 Mortal Instruments can conjure up Raziel. I don't know why we felt the need to go the other way at first. My theory is that we're going to bring that sword back because it can destroy Jonathan. However, it can destroy him, I guess, with a lightning bolt or something, instead of having to conjure up Azazel, who we've already dealt with. I think the Mortal Sword is going to end up being that. Till then, don't really know why they went that way. But they finally go back to the original plot. So they find the mirror in this really weird episode where you have these tattoos on the Warlock's arms. Then we have this whole fight scene with Jonathan the Swamp Monster. That happens. Whatever. Then the next episode was kind of cool because it was like an infiltration of the Institute, even though we've already done that before, but better because it was Sebastian. Sebastian gets down there and it's like a mix of slow-mo, really cool cinematography, awesome shots, and Sebastian is killing everyone, and then he gets the mirror. Wow. He's about to leave the Institute, but he can't. Because Clary, we never saw it, but she was reading Valentine's journals about her brother Jonathan and how he has some problem with Electrum. All demons have problems with this, but the audience doesn't know this. So they took Electrum out of Izzy's whip and they're testing everyone that leaves the Institute because they know he's shapeshifted. And she goes to test Sebastian, and I don't even know how she got the idea that it was Jonathan. Really creepy scene when it's just Sebastian and Clary. Will Tudor is amazing. I'm so happy they got him for this show. So yeah, Clary gets the mirror, she destroys it with the deactivation rune, and then it turns into dust in her hand. And she's like, what just happened? Clary, you just used a rune that you don't really know what it does and doesn't actually exist, and what did you expect to happen? Just wondering. But this leads her to believe, oh, this isn't the actual mirror. But what was Valentine doing this whole episode? Like, was he just chilling? Whatever, it's fine. The next episode was the episode before the season finale. This was my favorite episode out of all of them. This is my favorite episode. In this episode, now they know Sebastian is Jonathan. They go to where he lives, and apparently Jonathan kept Sebastian's body, and they had a demon possess it as like a booby trap. Okay. That's really creepy of Jonathan to keep Sebastian's body rotting for however long it was there. And basically, Jonathan and Valentine are on the run in this episode. They go to a cemetery, because that's where they keep the weapons. Brought back great memories of a cemetery from season 1. Valentine goes there and takes this funeral party and basically just makes a bunch of Forsaken, which was actually really cool to see. Even though it didn't end up really doing anything, they killed all the Forsaken, and Valentine just kind of disappeared for the time being. But it led to this whole thing of Jonathan getting Jace. He's dragging him at one point. He has him choked by a chain and is dragging him by this, and that was so cool. He goes on a bridge and they're fighting and Jace is down and Izzy comes around the corner and I'm like, hell yes. And the reason that it's Izzy is because of this Electrum thing. So it did come full circle. So I think that kind of, it worked for them. And it was awesome. They had some really great shots of Izzy using her whip. And I just wish we would have had a little bit more Izzy fighting, even if she did end up getting knocked down, because she was killing it. And then Jace gives up and stabs Jonathan in the back, which is fine, because that was also a really cool part that they kept from the books that I thought was awesome. They did it right this time. Jonathan's creepily telling Jace, like, oh, I know this spot where if you stab someone in the back, you can get their heart. And then Jace ends up doing it, and he's like, oh, he said it so stupid. I don't even remember how he said it, and I was kind of disappointed, but I was still happy that we got that scene. And at the end of this episode, there was actually a really nice Clace moment where I was like, actually feeling it for once. That's good. That's progress, right? And then season finale happened. It's like I don't like the finales that this show does. I didn't like the season 1 finale, didn't particularly like the season 2A winter finale thing, and I definitely did not like the season 2 finale. My head just exploded because they just kept throwing random things in there. The plot went all over the place, and I was like, what is happening? Sebastian at the beginning gets on a beach, and his blood just trickles out into this pentagram. He calls for his mom. Weird, but okay. Then this demon comes out, and we got these demons roaming the city. Again, okay. They decide that Jace and Clary should go, while Alec and Izzy have to stay behind. Again, There's other people at the Institute. Why do you have to stay behind? They just needed it for the storyline. Whatever. It happened. Jace and Clary go to Idris, and they pop up in this war camp where Malachi is immediately revealed as a Circle member. Like, not 2 seconds later. He's bad guy. They're captured. They're almost killed. Jace activates his runes, and kills everyone, or something like that. Then they run down to the lake. Great. And Valentine immediately kills Jace. He just kills him. When Jace dies, Valentine like steps back and he's awkwardly in the background just kind of standing there as Clary has this really dramatic moment. It didn't make me feel anything. This whole stupid thing where Valentine gets in the lake and then Clary all of a sudden gets up. She just gets up. I don't remember what happened because I was just sitting there the whole time going, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid. But Raziel was like, well, you have a wish for me if you spill your blood in the lake. So we have this really dramatic pause where Valentine is about to cut his hand. No, Clary gets in, has a stupid fight with Valentine where she manages to stab him a bunch of times. That was actually really cool. She's just like, stab, 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 stab. And I'm like, okay, chill. I mean, you fought and killed Valentine, but Jace couldn't, and he died. I'm gonna ignore that. She goes to the lake, slice. Hey, wanna bring my dead boyfriend back to life? Thanks. So, at the end of that episode, we get Jace kind of freaking out because something's happening to him. I think I know what that's going to go into, but I'm not going to spoil anyone if you haven't read the books or anything like that. But you do have until season 3 starts to read all the books. Just saying. What else? Oh, at the end of the episode, we get Jonathan, and Jonathan's mommy shows up, and she's creepy because all of these demon monsters just come and make what's-her-face, that I can't remember her name. So that'll be fun next season. Overall, loved it so much more than season 1. Good improvement, stuff like that, and it's getting better and better. Can't wait for season 3. So those are my thoughts on the show. Let me know what you thought of this season down below. I'd love to talk about it, but that's all I have for this video today, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye! I've actually already done. Wait a minute. Stop. You're being annoying, show. You're being very annoying. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Random thought, but is he naked? Like, we never see him from the waist down, I don't think, because if he's naked, you know?